Okay, I'm going to read a part of a story to start off. It's in my collection, the Conduit, as Stephanie introduced. The story is called The Unicyclist. Insidious clusters of duck-billed platypus eggs are multiplying in a unicycling nomad's scrotum. Via the mass of eggshells permeable, the fluid nest of platypi nibble on the delicate hors d'oeuvres of their host's testicles, stretching the envelope to thinnest transparency and the tense verge of bursting. Shining through the scrotal sac, twinkling in stars far and near, swarms of bluish eggs bulge over the saddle of the nomad's unicycle, making pedaling most difficult, but pedal he must. With relentless, prudent toe tips, he is the yoke transitional martyr caught between species. Without precedent or family tree, the first and last of its kind, precious eggs pressing against the saddle while riding up and down endless hills strewn with buttercups and clover, leg muscles bulging, arms flailing the wind with dodo bird wing inutility, two left hands twirling a long, tall back scratcher built from stolen shepherd staffs fixed end to end with morning dew glue. The nomad pedals furiously, never sleeping, stopping, or looking backwards, two left hands miming the smiles of waking dreams for swallows, swooping down and pecking kisses of levity upon his chapped mutney frown, saddened and dulled by the uniform passing view of wayward shepherdless sheep, aimless melting forms of boredom, trickling down far-off moleholes, riddling the vast expanse of hills. Where pristine sameness reigns, winter, fall, and summer are fibs of rogue mischief, the folly of phantom seasons, carved at the far end of the backscratcher by stray shepherds' children, orphaned by their fathers in pursuit of stolen staffs. Throughout the hills, an endless spring asserts a timeless calm. With new beginnings, every buttercup has just bloomed, the fresh scent of clover wafting upward from forward-turning unicycle wheel as new eggs join swarms of brethren spontaneously. Binding monotreme umbra, fusing he, she, it, and platypus into one. Across the hilly landscape, the penumbra engulfs the cog adrift in its wanton life cycle, Portuguese hors d'oeuvre of war ballooning into a host of infinite generosity. Ecstatic cryptozoologists crawl out of the hills to classify the new species, but it eludes their grasp. Quack doctors with miracle cures, carrying weighty tomes entitled Elephantiasis of the Scrotum, the laurels of a lofty masculinity, are swallowed up by the umbra before they can dupe their patient, naive but inscrutable. Seductive wood nymphs try to extract the eggs orgasmically but fail to arouse the lust of the monkish unicyclist and are sent back to charm school. Oviparous losers wait for the nomad to lay the eggs in honor of their legacy but vanish with disappointment. Ovoviviparous dreamers, erased by their own dust, bum around forever to never hear the cracking of eggs hatching. Viviparous demons rejoice with parthenogenetic tricksters mutually validated by the nomad's triumphant existence. The nomad cycles in darkness and light, following a random feral route beyond the limits of time and exhaustion, gelded by the cosmos in flux. The eunuch ushering in the continuum of a new breed. Harsh winds tornadoing sweat off his brow, watering the buttercups and clover. And that is all I will read of the unicyclist. It goes on. Okay. I just have to get a drink here. I don't write from direct experience, usually. But when I was 13 years old, on the 18th of July in Brewster, New York, I was swimming, and I almost drowned. And my leg got caught underwater on a root when I was swimming, and I floated to the surface unconscious. And the teacher that was there with the group of people that I was with pulled me ashore, and I was taken to the emergency room, and my lungs were pumped. Water was pumped out of my lungs, and I had an out-of-body experience. And I can't prove this. I don't tell this to very many people. But I had the experience of crawling down a tunnel. I had the experience of being a newborn baby in my mother's arms just after the umbilical cord was cut. And so all these years later, in some very indirect and murky way, there's a connection between this experience and my story, The Conduit, of which I will again read a part of. Okay, this is The Conduit. A man who's been stabbed in the heart at the edge of a pipe crawls inside it to live with the wound. Moving down the windy concrete tunnel, listening to his arteries drain, he leaves a red carpet for the assailant's knife. Millennial scorpion stinging itself, drowning in cesspools of regeneration. Huge, wide, longer than all-seeing memory. The pipe sparkles with light, twinkling with blood hitting the cold air. The man looks inward in quest of warmth, passing torn valves in a network of tubes. From waning capillary to enlarged vein geysering woundward, the assailant has left the pipe as a memorial to his crime and victim, paying tribute with a spare part in lieu of tubes torn. In honor of the sacrificial kill, the ancestors of the victim and assailant line up in rows facing each other, linking pinkies in a twilight square dance. The ancestors defy the order of time, choosing dance partners from non-overlapping lifetimes, intimate fleeting anachronisms linking across time, cosmic gene pools intermingling, remote family trees of lineage intertwine, rumbling destinies crisscross antlers, out-of-wedlock orphans catch milkweed motes of unknown forebears flying in the winds. A dance caller shouts from ashes of police reports of the crime, interspersed with incantatory testimony of twisted fallen witnesses silenced by the omniscient pipe. Swing your partner, pipe cave mission, trillion souls are finding fission, make the wound get real sore, the guilty conscience wants some more. Tinder pipe in a morning mist, starfish pinky, make a fist. Aorta forms and diagrams, fleeting light will make you scram. Ventricle snow, dozy-do. The landscape surrounding the pipe hums with first and last breaths, repeating life cycles with relentless cicada buzz. The ancestors' wedding rings looping in endless chains, jingling wind chimes, celebrating unions, separations, departings. Ecstatic cries of copulating millions, crystallizing in orgies of glacial snowfolk, drilling each other with crooked capillary divining rods. Sad roots of the broken, forgotten, smelling the remembered. Torrents of ancestral ego dust, scattering across the tangible world, vanishing down the pipe. Patellas of killer and kill ossify in a drop of morning dew on a blade of crabgrass. The man looks further inward, confronting each of his ancestors and his assailant's ancestors face to face. Torrential eye contact with a trillion, causing an avalanche of accomplices to face the original wound. The random chaos of transpersonal memory erupting. Crude oil of raw vision, a crying hyena jaw, chewing windy concrete tunnel edges. Mulch piles full of oracle eternity, swill of ego dust. Poop shoot, parachute, somersault, sleep, ventricle snow, dozy-do. Lightning striking the mass heartbeat of merged accomplices linked to the crime by the knife. Ritual stabbings going down in history as nonchalant pedestrian bloodlettings for masses of victims resigned to their fates. The tip of the assailant's knife rising on the eastern horizon at the end of the tunnel, anticipating the cuts of a new day. Millennial scorpion orphans stinging linked pinkies with methodical, relentless grace. At the mid-pipe valve, the man looks outward, Torrential eye contact with a trillium piercing the original wound, taking a panoramic sweep across the random chaos of transpersonal memory gone berserk. Kamikaze pilots get reborn in the lonesome candle flame on a baby's first birthday cake. Countries sacrificing their souls for honor get redeemed in a gallstone in the belly of a shark. The first opposable starfish thumb grips the first lollipop given to a boy by a barber after a first haircut. Hidden enemy remoras play Ring Around the Rosie, mocking the grieving relatives of the victim, getting dizzy, spinning on merry-go-rounds of petrified wood. A tangent of the crawling man recedes into a rural backwoods, seeing his 15-year-old hick grandmother wrestling with an old mossback snapping turtle of an unknown forebear. The fleeting crescent of a cross-generational affair waxes on the irises with lucidity, stiffening eyelids. The faded, yellowed, crumpled Dear John letter written by the assailant's great-great-great-great-grandmother to the victim's great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson looms across his vision with the magnitude of a crucial turning point in history. The awkward, hesitant cadences of the Dear John letter intoning in the assailant's great-great-great-great-grandmother's ancient but girlish voice, reverberating throughout the pipe, rustling the mid-pipe valve. Ravenous packs of hyenas in the vanishing point at the end of the tunnel smell the pungent chest wound, seeing the man as ripe, vulnerable prey. But the intensity of the anachronistic, cross-generational broken affair scares the hyenas away. High-pitched screech of the assailant's great-great-great-great-great-grandmother's girlish voice echoing painfully in the retreating hyena ears. That is all I will read of The Conduit. Thank you. So, I don't know, is there no more time? Is there time for something else, or is it enough? Or any requests? Any English, German, anything? I'm sorry? Oh, you want me to read that? Okay. I'll read, okay. One moment. This is called The Ball. At the request of Randall Bass, I will read The Ball. A line projecting from a man's forehead is all oiled up, slippery, and infinite, flowing from a far-off source, inching backwards on his pate and vanishing in the horizon at the opposite direction. He cups the line to his ear, listening to the sound of taut, sputtering machinery operating in unison. He then follows the line to its terminus or wellspring, traveling by foot until coming to a swiveling metallic ball looming at the center of a city. The man stands before the ball, watching his line run through the walls far above him. The ball is threaded up with a network of hairlines projecting outward in all directions from the hub, octopus style. The lines run to where they are rooted in the foreheads of men with varying degrees of baldness, who move freely, untethered by their threads, which they pull while going about their daily business, keeping the ball swiveling with each and every movement. The interior apparatus of the parietal structure, the innards of the big ball, is a huge control room with rows of floodlights lining a curved ceiling and circular walls all speckled over with tiny openings through which the lines run in and out. At the center of the room, wedged between floor and ceiling, is a grillwork partition, where a cadre of line operators are maneuvering the lines through the openings in the walls as they unwind from slow, moderate, and rapid receding spindles and run through bottles of Cure via cause oil. The rooted set go bald on this oil, conveyed to their pates via the lines, which shorten as they absorb them, getting pulled towards and into the ball by the line operators. The ball is a generic umbrella toupee, causing, covering, and hence curing the bald, who become line operators, causing the baldness of others. The lines are the heavenly elixir of all good men, overlapping genetically and commercially, so that infinitely receding families willing to do business can get a roof over their heads and benefit from the cure. The man steps through the glistening web network, feeling his line well up inside him, oozing in through a cranial pore, soothing his whole head and face the way cool tonics and aftershaves do. He watches the operators maneuvering the lines through the openings in the walls. Still other operators stand facing the inner walls of the ball, pressing their eyes against the openings and peering out of them as though through telescopes, scanning the terrain of the city until spotting the rooted set moving towards the ball. Sometimes several days pass before one is spotted. While waiting, the operators watch the distant traffic and crowds of pedestrians, as well as an occasional mischievous child who throws an egg at the ball and then hides, watching from a distance to see if the operators will emerge to come look for her. Sooner or later, the rooted set come into view one by one at intervals, going bald simultaneously at different rates, the operators pulling them towards and into the ball gently, without tethered coercion, guiding them in through the entrance hatch. As the man threads a line through an oil bottle, he watches another operator shackling a rapid receding spindle in rubber encasing so it won't get out of his control, snapping its line in mid-process, the man at the other end vanishing into the city with a broken thread trailing from his forehead in the wind. That is the ball. And I'm Richard Gessner, and that is all I will read. Thank you.